So Ben, you know it's official when we have an intro theme song like that, right? It kind of gets everyone sort of starting to rock out a little bit.
Oh, it's very impressive.
Yes, yes. Thank you very much. All right, so welcome everyone to this week's live stream of goRIA. I'm Chuck Fela, and we have with us today a really special guest, Ben Lewis from the FPA, and we're going to talk to Ben in just a moment. But first, I do want to take a second to thank our sponsor for this live stream, which is LPL Financial. And as I like to say, if you like LPL as an independent broker dealer, you are going to love LPL as an RIA custodian. So definitely a value proposition worth checking out. Okay. Having said that, this week, as I mentioned in some of the promos on LinkedIn and Facebook and such, we're going to try to answer the question, who can you trust? Right? The age-old question, who can you trust? So if you're watching this, you're probably thinking about going RIA, and there's no shortage of opinions on if you should do it, how you should do it, what tech stack you should have, should you buy in, not buy in, but tuck in, should you build your own, all these different things. So what are your resources, right? Well, recruiters, for sure. As Ben and I were joking earlier, perhaps your mom, you certainly trust your mom, but does she really know a lot about the RIA space? Maybe not. Who can you trust, and who knows a lot about the space? And what I would say the best resource out there, perhaps second only to goRIA, powered by Investment News, of course, joking aside and self-promotion aside, are other advisors, right? So if you're looking to make that break to the RIA space, kidding aside, one of the best resources you have is to talk to other advisors. Talk to advisors that have gone RIA. Talk to advisors that built their own RIA. Talk to advisors that tucked into big RIAs. Talk to advisors that tucked into small RIAs and get their opinion on that. So that might leave a question, and this is obviously a good segue into talking with Ben some, is where do you find these advisors, right? So if you're kind of a one-person shop, you may not have a lot of relationships with advisors. I know that was the case back when I was at Raymond James, and I ran a branch of one, so there wasn't a whole lot of collaboration within my branch. And that brings us here to Ben. So I have found over the years, and I've been doing this for almost 30 years now, one of the best resources out there to connect with other advisors, to talk about going RIA, to talk about planning items, to talk about tax items, would be something like the Financial Planning Association, of which I'm a board member myself here in Connecticut. And that brings us to Ben. Ben, welcome to this week's live stream. Thanks for joining us.
It's great to be with you, Chuck.
All right. So maybe if you could kick us off a little bit, what have you seen? You've been with the FPA now for about a decade. Mm-hmm. What are some resources that advisors are taking advantage of? And probably networking is right up there. What do you see?
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the Financial Planning Association is really committed to 4 primary areas of value. So it's practice support, learning, advocacy, and networking. Now, through the years, what I've really come to learn is that community is really at the heart of what this association is all about. It's really what's driving the association. It's really what is really, I think, more intimately connecting people to what the association is about and the role that it actually plays. And so, as you know, Chuck, I mean, our membership is very diverse, and not just in terms of demographics, but also in terms of compensation model, compensation structures, business models, and so on. So you have an opportunity to really kind of plug in to a lot of diverse perspectives in terms of how people are operating, what they're doing in their practices. Again, whether they're a sole practitioner who's working out of their home, or they're part of a larger, more ensemble type firm, or even to $1 billion firm. You kind of have all that here at FPA. And so through the association, there's a lot of opportunities for people to actually create those connections and feel that sense of community. So everything from our national chapter network, we've got 77 chapters across the country and 2 state councils, one in California, one in Florida. And these provide a local connection where you can actually get together and learn with and share with other advisors and planners right in your own backyard. Obviously, we have our national events. Like, you're going to be coming out to our annual conference here at the end of September, Chuck. Yep. And our annual conference is what we like to call the big show in financial planning. And it's an opportunity to actually meet with planners from across the country, people who you wouldn't typically get to see up close and personal, but in a setting where it's really kind of conducive to kind of creating that sense of community. And then we have online communities, our Knowledge Circle program, 15 different designated communities around specific topics and demographics. So you can really kind of have an opportunity to connect with other planners with around special areas of interest that are more important to you and that you have real personal passions in. So yeah, there's a lot of opportunity through FPA that our members are taking advantage of for actually creating those connections and having that sense of community.
Absolutely. And I certainly have gotten a lot out of it over the years. And, I was at a national conference. It was before COVID. So this may be going back about 4 years.
Mm-hmm.
And it was actually the first national conference for the FPA that I went to. And it was great. I went to the sessions. The sessions were fantastic, period. But what I really got out of that was everything between the sessions, right?
Yep.
The lunches, the beers afterwards. Those were some of the best conversations, the most meaningful conversations. And this is really what I'm getting at. When you're in a presentation, you're hearing kind of, and I don't mean this in a real bad way, but kind of a canned presentation, right? So the speaker is talking about what he or she is going to talk about, and that's cool. And it's going to be essentially tailored for the masses. But where I found those gold nuggets were those conversations in between the sessions with other advisors. Hey, how are you handling this situation? What are you doing about client retention? What are you doing about attracting new clients? And in the context of today's live stream, and this was probably right when I was going to go RIA, actually. This was right before I broke away. And I'll give a plug to two local RIA owners here at the Connecticut FBA chapter, Chris Lee and Charlie Rocco, who I'm sure you know both those guys.
Yeah.
And I don't think I really knew them that well during that conference. I knew them just because they were other advisors here in Connecticut and we've kind of crossed paths. But the most value I took from that conference, definitely the presentations, definitely the CE, all that was great. But it was those conversations I was having with Chris and Charlie about their experiences having gone RIA and building an RIA. And that was real good, honest, direct, unbiased information. Mm-hmm. And what I was always really floored about, really especially with the FPA, is how collaborative the members are, right? You would think everyone's running their business. I mean, geez, Charlie and Chris, they have an RIA within 5 to 10 miles of mine, give or take, right? So I guess technically we're competitors, but I don't really see it as such. And I don't think they do either. It's much more collaborative. And they were sharing some real personal things, pricing structures. What do they do for their CRM? And I thought that was incredibly valuable. So I do believe that anyone that's looking to make that big leap, and I don't know of any other decision an advisor can make bigger than changing firms, right? Let alone changing channels, which was the best thing I ever did, going from BD to RIA, Ben Unoma. Quite the enthusiast, to say the least, and evangelist at most, perhaps. But one of the best resources I had was talking to those guys at the conference and other resources as well, and other opportunities to talk to advisors. Maybe you could spend a minute or two talking about ways that the FPA is helping connect advisors, not only to talk about going RIA, but to talk about anything. What other resources do you guys offer to help advisors that may not know a lot of their advisors in their community get connected?
Yeah, a lot of that is going to be driven by the chapter affiliation. Just like you had, Chuck, you had a chance to sit down with two other advisors who are right there in your own backyard and pick their brains. And that's not an uncommon story, by the way. We like to say it happens in the hallways, right?
Yeah.
Those are those conversations that just happen organically between learning sessions or between lunch and another keynote session or something like that. And it's funny because I was actually just at Next Gen Gathering just a couple of weeks ago in Denver. And you hear the stories about these, really impressive young professionals who are really taking this profession kind of on their shoulders and to kind of move it forward. And you hear the stories about, they're getting together at Next Gen Gathering, and it's a cohort format where you kind of have your cohort group and you're kind of engaging in these deep discussions. Some of these people 3, 4, 5 years ago established these really deep relationships with others in their cohort, and those have led to creating mastermind groups where now they're getting together 3, 4 times a year and digging deep into their businesses. A lot of that's through the local chapters, to our Next Gen community and so on. but yeah, I mean, there's so many different ways to create that sense of community where you know, we have an opportunity to pick somebody else's brain. Another popular thing that we have available for all of our members is what we have called the All Member Open Forum. So a program called FPA Connect. And there, if you're a member, you can post any number of questions on any topics you have. Again, whether it's about creating a client onboarding process, or you're figuring out a fee structure, whatever. You can post all of that in the All Member Open Forum, and you can get feedback from different advisors from all across the country. And not only that, with a couple percent of our members, a couple percent, if that's even the right term. I think it's up to like 2% of our members are international. So you can even get international perspective in terms of getting some advice, what other advisors are doing around the world. So there's just a lot of different resources. And what's neat about it is that there's different opportunities depending on how you like to personally connect. So if you are very social, you want to get together with people live, there's opportunities for that. If you prefer that virtual type of connection, there's opportunities for that. So there's a lot of different opportunities to kind of meet your own desires and preferences. And so, yeah, I hope everyone, whether they're members or non-members, kind of takes a look at what is available through the association, because I think people would be really happy with the opportunities that were in front of them.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. And just to kind of wrap things up, as a reminder, as Ben mentioned, I will be at this national conference in Phoenix, September 26th and 27th, I think, right? Those 2 days?
27th through the 29th.
As I said, the 27th through the 29th. I guess I'm flying out on the 26th. Maybe that's why that's in my head.
There you go.
And I will be there in Podcast Quarter, hosting goRIA live from FPA National. So if you're going to be there, and if you're not, think about registering. It'll be a great event, I'm quite sure. Come find me. I'll be in Podcast Corner. And if you have a good goRIA story, perhaps you're thinking about going RIA, you want to talk about your process. Maybe you've gone RIA, you want to talk about how well it went or how badly it went. We want to hear it all. We'll be streaming that live from Phoenix at the FPA conference. So please think about joining us for that. And that's going to do it for this week. Ben, thanks a lot for joining us. It was great having you.
It was my pleasure, Chuck. And I just want to say, registration is open until this Friday, September 8th, and people can register at fpaannual.org.
Absolutely. And that'd be a good thing to do. And I will hope to see you there. And of course, if you want to get more content about goRIA, we have that new QR code. You can take a snapshot of that. Or if you're not really a QR kind of person, you can simply go to investmentnews.com. On the upper right-hand side, there's a little tag that says goRIA. Click that and you'll see all of our podcasts. We've got a good dozen podcasts up there now. Webcasts, we're doing a new webcast next month. Some articles, a lot of great content. So give that a look. If you're going RIA, you'll be happy that you did. And on behalf of Investment News and goRIA, I am Chuck Fela, and I will see you next week. Take care. Ben, thanks again.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Chuck.
You bet.